Or are you sure they didn't disconnect it? We're live.
We are
Oh,
live?
we are live.
Now?
Bring him back. Bring him back. You want to sit down? Bring him back, and we'll take for him with him, and if we need to, but we'll just go for a few minutes. As soon as you want to bring him. So we're back live. CPAC, come on, have a seat. And we just heard. Did you hear Elon?
I did hear Elon.
Dude, that was
It's fantastic.
I've never felt so American, and I've never felt so hopeful about the fiscal safety of our country.
Yeah. I mean, he was stressing being caring and actually competent, things which have obviously been missing for the last few years.
For a hot minute.
For about 100 years.
So
150.
Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Oh, my goodness. So my name is Jake Busher. I do far too many things. So I have a construction company, starting up or purchasing a trash company, and investing in a hardscaping company. What else do I do? I run a podcast called Cutting the Gordian Knot. Check it out, guys. And
Cutting the what knot?
Cutting the Gordian Knot.
The Gordian knot.
The Gordian Knot.
Well, that needs no explanation because everyone knows what a Gordian knot is.
Not. All right. Well,
it sounds like something that happens when you're born.
I did have a child about a year and a half ago. And they tell you that the umbilical cord is incredibly difficult to cut. They really prep you for this. It's not. It's very easy.
Really?
Yeah, and they give you very sharp scissors. Safety scissors, though.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the Gordian knot's something very different. So, according to the myth, Alexander the Great is going through these cities, and he comes to one.
I hate to do this to you.
What?
I got to pause you.
All right.
We got a Romanian president.
Okay. Let's get the Romanian president. All right. Cool.
But don't go anywhere. You're coming right back.
Fantastic.
Hello. Dana Palmer. Come in.
Nice to meet you, Dana.
All right. So tell us your name and we're going to talk.
Simeon. I'm the leader of the opposition in Romania. We had annulled elections there. We'll have repeated elections in May. Hopefully, we'll get back democracy in the European Union because you heard JD's Vance.
I did. Did you win? Or what happened?
We won the elections, and the deep state canceled the elections because of Anthony Blinken and because of globalists ruling in Europe.
This is insane.
Yes, it is.
How does that happen in the modern world?
It doesn't happen. They cut the red line. They said we have a world without rules, and you cannot have a world without rules. Any action has reaction. So we will try to stop them at the May's election. But we need help from the free world, and we need to translate the MAGA movement to Europe to make it mega, make Europe great again. I'm 27 countries in Europe to make Europe great again.
That's fantastic, and that's absolutely necessary.
We will do it.
What are some of the problems that Romania is having besides the election?
Like everywhere, poverty generated by bureaucracy, generated by multinational companies that don't respect the autochthon capital, the national capital. We have bureaucrats that are just doing nothing in their offices, and that are putting pressure on the private sector. We have too many regulations, and we have the richest country from the resource point of view in Europe that has the poorest population.
I'm sorry to hear that.
We will make Romania and Europe great again with your help. This is why we are in CPAC. This is why I'm thanking you, Dana Palmer, for your invite. And this is why I would invite you to follow up on the situation with the annulled elections in Romania.
Absolutely. So how can Americans help?
I'm the most popular politician in Romania. I have 1,500,000 followers on Facebook. Not that popular on X, but I'm coming back. George Simeon is the name to search for, our party, and I'm also vice president at European level of ECR party. We are the most pro-Atlantic political party at European level in the European Parliament.
So let's say you get elected in May. What is your vision for Romania going forward?
To generate prosperity, to get our people that are working now in the West back home, to produce things in Romania, because unfortunately many of our production moved to China.
That's a common thing.
Everywhere it happens the same, and we will be practically enslaved in the future. So we must learn again how to produce and how to generate prosperity for our nations, and to return to God and to eat His teachings.
If you succeed in this election, what strategies are you going to use to make sure that you're surrounded by the right people and not eaten by the bureaucracy that's there? How do you prevent the deep state from getting you?
This happened with the first mandate of President Trump, the 45th mandate of President of Donald Trump. We will put only patriots inside our administration, and we will not work with the people that were before there. I saw now public attorney, very powerful woman, keeping a speech. I saw the speeches of
Attorney General.
Attorney General, yes. The speeches of Elon, and JD Vance, it's incredible. So we will we'll be inspired by Trump administration.
If you get the presidency, do you have the power to fire all those bureaucrats and restructure?
Of course, because we are empowered by the people, so we won't let any law to prevent us from making changes. This is a common mistake in some governments.
What is the structure of Romania? Is it because the United States has the president and the Congress? How does
we are a semi-presidential country. We are run by a prime minister and a president, and it's a balance of power, of checks and balances. But if the Romanian people are now returning to its values, and we are not fooled by globalists anymore, we will manage to enforce the president and the prime minister to work together.
I very much hope that you succeed with that. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for your invitation, and we
absolutely keep in touch and come back if you make this.
For sure.
We want to follow up with you. Thank you very much.
For sure. Thank you.
This is a powerful, powerful convention. There are real power brokers and the makers and the shakers that are present here. And these are real consequences, real people, real lives, world politics, all shaped here. If you've never come to CPAC, I highly recommend it. I wish I'd ever come before for a first time. This is impressive. Oh, you never know who's going to be coming in.
You never know.
We got a guy like that. We got to take him.
Absolutely.
But thank you for waiting and coming back.
Of course.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on what?
Where were we? We're in Romania, all right?
Thoughts on Romania. Oh, my goodness.
Were you able to hear him?
I couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
Therefore, I have very few thoughts on Romania.
He
seemed like a very nice man, as I
it was very interesting, because essentially what's happening in Romania is what really was happening here, except it sounds like it's going even worse in Romania, and they actually did cancel an election and rejected the result. JD Vance spoke about that this morning, and that was the guy JD Vance was talking about.
That's incredible.
So
only at CPAC.
Only at CPAC. So, where were we? So philosophy. Cut it.
Story. Okay.
Umbilical cord. No. Where were you?
The Gordian knot.
The Gordian knot.
The Gordian knot is this.
Is that Sebastian Gordon's umbilical cord?
Unknown, lost to history. It was a long time ago. We don't know much about the man. But it's this knot that if anybody could untie it, then they could rule the city, which is kind of strange. But we're in a very strange political environment now. So what Alexander the Great does is comes to it and he's like, oh, gotcha. All right. And apparently they didn't specify exactly how you loose the knot. So he takes out his sword, chunk, cuts it. Goes, done. My city now. So this has been an example of out of the box type thinking, whereby when you see something incredibly complicated and entangled, sometimes what you do is you actually just have to cut it out. You need to apply a novel and clear cut solution, something which is tangled. So that's what podcast is about, with philosophy, theology, economics, finding those types of clear solutions which cut through very tangled, difficult issues there. And honestly, that's kind of what we're seeing here with Elon Musk, where
That is what we're
he
seeing.
came in and the government is this massive tangled mess. He's like, well, what if we just shut off some payments to some of these organizations and we'll just, if we break it, we'll go ahead and fix it afterwards. But I think that might be a good start. And you know what? It works. So,
It does.
hey, yeah.
Well,
he's
you know, when
definitely
he went into Twitter, he wanted to shut down one of the server banks, and they go, that's going to take like 3 to 6 months. And he goes, why don't we just unplug it?
Yeah.
He
What
did
a
it, and he
hero.
did.
What a
They
hero.
just cut it, and
That's how you do it.
that's how you do it.
But to circle back, why am I here? It's
Yeah.
because I had a couple meetings at the Capitol talking about the fair tax, and they were canceled because one of the other board members fell sick, unfortunately. And I was going to go and meet with Dan Bongino over CPAC, but got too busy. So instead, I get to run around, drink coffee, and listen to all the interesting speakers and have a wonderful play day here at CPAC and give out cards. So,
Nice.
Oh, I already gave you one. So
Well, here, take
there you go.
take another one of mine and get to Dan Gino.
fantastic. I mean, we're not like friends. We're
If
not
we-
like buddies.
well,
It's more like found a way to bother her, and he said,
He
"Yeah,
said,
I'll
go
meet
ahead.
with you." Never mind. But no, but making good connections for fair tax, getting rid of the income tax, capital gains tax, dividends tax, pretty much every other tax, saving half a trillion. in
Not
compliance
agree
costs.
with you more.
It's a wonderful thing.
I mean, how much does it cost to do all the accounting and all that for tax? I mean,
An estimated 3% of all of the economy is dedicated to
Yeah.
tax
at least,
compliance and sorting costs.
at least.
As low as 500 billion, which is approximately what, the GDP of Australia. So it's like if Australia was dealing with our taxes and we were doing our stuff. That's the scale of the problem. I mean, Elon Musk is trying to cut all sorts of waste. I think that's a massive area of waste. And we've had multiple econometric reports which show that we're going to have massive GDP growth as a result. And there's a Princeton econometrics poll where they asked 500 like CEOs or leaders of Asian and European companies, what would you do if they passed the fair tax? This is a Princeton econometrics poll. So of the 500, 400 said we'd put our next facility in the United States. And 100 said, oh, we'll put our headquarters in the United States. So here we got a lot of support and a lot of unity in the party right now around Donald Trump. Things that he wants are ending the income tax, are ending tax on tips, are ending, ending the foreign money going into foreign banks when it could be sitting in the U.S. And that's exactly what we do. We would become the greatest, quote unquote, tax haven of the world, where trillions of dollars get repatriated because there's no taxes until we hit new sale of new goods and services. And that's it. It's a consumption tax. We untax the poor by giving rebate, which, well, there's lots of details there, but it keeps about the same progressivity. We're aiming to collect the same amount until Elon starts slashing and using that new chainsaw of his that Milei just gave him. But this means
impressive.
you don't have to file a tax return. You don't have to change provisions based on what taxes somebody dreamed up in the giant fossil record of pork barreling and corruption that we call the
Exactly right.
tax regulations.
So no death tax,
No death tax.
no income tax,
No income tax.
property tax.
Property taxes are local. So we do have a state-based fair tax plan that people can adopt, and there's which have moved towards that. So you could get rid of that one, but hey, that's more of a state level issue or a local level issue. Property tax is tricky. That's something that personally I think can be all right, because what you're doing when you choose to live in a community is to consume a group of services which are geographically located. So I don't think in principle that's wrong, though it can absolutely be abused. What a sales tax does is say, well, there is theoretically some contribution of the government of public funds to the creation of new things. It could be because we have safety, we have security, because we have a retirement programs for the workers who worked on those things. So we simply give them that share at the cash register. Property tax can make sense because it's geographically located where not necessarily your revenue is if you live in one town and shop in another. So I'm not personally entirely against property taxes when used appropriately and at the correct level.
Very interesting. So tell us more about your podcast.
Sure. So the podcast, let's see, we cover all sorts of things. I had so it's a variety. It's a variety. Some
Our show's a
guests,
variety.
Yeah. I mean, we have everything from a line by line, 7 episodes, like 12-hour breakdown of the book of Leviticus.
Interesting.
Yep. To we've had some philosophers. We've done a lot of philosophy of time. We've done it's a source of the longest primary source quotes, maybe of any podcast. I will claim that claim to fame. So we've gone through huge passages of Aristotle, of Plato. We've talked about Pascal by reading the Pensées. We've done all sorts of things. We've also done arguments for God's existence, primarily the 4th way of Aquinas, though I think we've covered most of his 5 ways. And in depth, we've covered the contingency argument for 3.5 hours with a fellow who's a philosophy student at Oxford now and is really focusing on the contingency argument, drawing from the thought of Maimonides and Avicenna, and also Thomas Aquinas. Kind of jams a lot of those together. Do some Catholic apologetics, do a lot of free market stuff. So it's a wild ride.
Interesting. And what's the name of the podcast again?
It is Cutting the Gordian Knot.
Cutting
so
the
if you
Gordian
search
Knot.
Cutting the Gordian Knot, you will find it, and your ears and your mind will be titillated in the most lovely of ways.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Jacob.
you. Appreciate
Really
having me.
you coming
Yep.
on.
All right. Good luck.
Look forward to seeing you again. And actually, talk more with you about, and we'll keep in touch because I think we could have some good, deep philosophical.
I like that
Discussions.
philosophical. That's great.
I don't know if I could even mispronounce it again.
Stay in touch. You have
Thank
my
you.
information.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Again, live from CPAC. This is the Lawyer Dana Show. We've got more. We're going to be broadcasting live all day tomorrow. And so stay in touch. Keep your alerts on. Like, subscribe. Tell us what you think in the comments. And we will see you again soon. We'll be back after a short break. This is the Lawyer Dana Show.